भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Thank you all for taking this time and coming on a Sunday, especially when your children are occupied, when you don't get this kind of a free time with children not being there. I can only imagine what all things you could plan in their absence, because you seldom get that kind of an opportunity. On the weekdays, they are also busy, you are also busy. On the weekends, when you are not busy but they are engaged, especially during the summer holidays, you come to your wit's end. How do I engage these people so that I don't have to go through any kind of anxiety? I think in the very outset, we should give a big round of applause to all our volunteers, because they have taken that pressure off of you. And it is not a babysitting, but it is something meaningful that they get out of it at the end of it, so that they are connected back to their culture, tradition, systems, rituals, stories, their significances, symbolism, and the depth of how it can impact their personal lives. So the volunteer said, Swamiji, when you are already addressing the kids, how about addressing the parents? When I was in US, Chinmaya Mission, Dallas, for about 22 years, every Sunday we used to have these Balavihar classes from kindergarten to 12th grade. So 14 classrooms. So then I observed the kids are getting something very valuable out of these sessions. And when the kids come back from their home after they have learned, especially in the middle school and high school level, I start hearing that they have a lot of discussions at home, and the parents, it is difficult to handle. Swamiji, what do we do? I quickly realized that all of us as Indians, Bharatiya, no one gets the introduction to our Sanatana Dharma, our religion, in a systematic, foundational level like how the children are getting. Most of us have lived, seen what our parents do. Out of that, whatever convenient we like to do. That is how we have learned. And the convenience now starts boiling into, crystallizing into something more of a need. After the marriage, when you have a chinku, tinku, pinku, pinku, 2-4 children that you have, suddenly the responsibility on the shoulder is quite heavy. I had not paid attention to when I was growing up. Now I have to raise these. I better be raising them in a good shape and order. So here I have 2 questions for you. I have made an assumption. So let me ask, how many of you got a very trained introduction into Hinduism and Hindu ways of doing, Hindu ways of life. Partial. Nothing very systematic, right? अपने पूर्वज करते थे, हम भी कर रहे हैं. They used to do exactly like this. My mother used to do like this. I am also doing like this. My father used to do it like this. I am also doing like this. Which I didn't care about until I had children. Now it has become my responsibility. Therefore, there is some amount of sincerity that strikes deep within. That I have to also impart something good to the children. So in the US environment, when every Sunday we had about 3,000, 2,500, 3,000 kids that would come, and I saw that the parents were not compatible because they were not trained. They did not have the insights which the children were getting. So the discussions that would happen at home were like, I grew up with this kind of a system, but when something is explained to the children and its symbolism and its methods and how to do, there might be a little variation because we have done it based on just seeing and we are repeating. We may have missed a few things here and there. So I said, I should do something with the parents as well. Jovially, I would say that whenever the parents are busy, they engage the kids with a babysitter. Now the children are busy on Sundays in Balavihar structure. Now I have to engage the parents. So I said we will have a special session for the parents regularly every week, and I called it as not the babysitting. It is called the parent sitting session, aka also known as satsangs. And one of the key factors, one of the most essential aspects is to understand the very purpose of these values, that which we value. Because right on the outset, let me ask, I'll introduce two words. One is value and the second is virtue. We have heard these both words. Bhagavan Ramachandra ji was a virtuous person. What is the difference between value and virtue? You can always say out of syllabus, Swami. We came here to hear and not to be questioned. So you continue speaking. Have you ever pondered upon that? There is a word called value and there is a word called virtue. What is the difference between that? Real. What is real? Virtues means real or value means real? Values are those sophisticated, subtle ways of life, standard of life, which is appreciated and respected whenever you see an honest person. However be the temptations, but still they remain honest. You call that as something respect worthy, right? When somebody says the truth and lives by that truthful living, we call that as something respect worthy. Values are that which we respect when seen in others. But the same values, when lived by the individual, the value transforms into a virtue. It is a living standard. That individual's life is not just something which will appreciate values, respect values, and talk about it to others. I met this person, they are such amazing, they have this value and they live by it. We are amazed by it. But when that value transforms into our life and we start living that, then it becomes, that value has now become translated into a virtue. Otherwise it is only respected as a value. Now what are values? Values are something that which have to essentially remain constant and consistent. When you go to a market, you are buying vegetables, groceries, whatever you are buying. If there is the old type measuring scale with the needle in between, so क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग? हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? तराजू. तराजू. They are so skilled with just a few little angles of their wrist. They can knock off few hundred grams, right? फिर से तोलो, ठीक से तोलो, ये कम लग रहा है. Don't we demand? Because there is something which is constant. 1 kilo, half a kilo, quarter kilo. हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं इधर? पाव किलो. Whatever, that value has to be constant. And across the board, it has to be the same. It cannot be that 1 kg is inchu minchuga. There is no inchu minchu. It has to be to the very inch. It cannot be more, it cannot be less. It has to be of the same quantity, same value. It cannot change. When the value changes, we feel that we have been cheated. When the value changes, I am taking a very vyavaharik example. There was ration card. Have you ever gone to that era? Have you ever grown up in that era, ration card era? Where if not anything, at least for the kerosene and sugar, people would go. Kerosene was given in. So they would have that measuring cup, 1 liter. But how would they cheat? The base, which should have been flat, it becomes conical inward. So they have occupied more volume, but you don't see it from the outside. So when you get something less, because what you are going to carry back is already of that value and it is falling short. कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, दाल में कुछ काला है. Why? Because the value which it has to give us has not been maintained. Right? Similarly, now I take another set of examples. When you come to chemistry, physics and these kinds of fields, there are certain nomenclatures which are called values. For example, pi. What is the value of pi? It is an unending number after the decimal. We round it off at 3.14. So wherever you use that pi, that value remains same. The value doesn't change. Human body temperature, there is a certain value to it. What should it be? 98.4 Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. What will happen if the value changes? What happened? Fever. Value changed, right? Whenever the value changes, we feel cheated, we feel unsettled, we feel unhealthy. It is not the same. Am I getting across? Value means something which is constant and consistent. Does not matter what time, what area, what pranta, it has to remain the same. Just before I switch gears, last example. Do you know how they measure the height of a mountain? If it is the height of a pillar, you will take a tape and measure it, right, top to bottom, and you say this is the length of this particular column. How do you measure a mountain? By taking a right angle, Pythagoras theorem, you apply it. That is one way. When you have reached on the top, when you are climbing, usually the water boils at what temperature? Water boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. The science that we have studied is also very practical. Sometimes when we read that, the alpha, theta, gamma, or the limits and differentials, we always felt confused. What is the use of all of this? Just the water boiling temperature, which is 100 degrees Celsius, as you gain elevation, its boiling point changes. So, looking and noting at the boiling point of water, you can assess what height you have reached. Because the value of that at a sea level is 100 degrees Celsius, but as you go to a higher elevation, because of the elevation, the temperature or the boiling point changes. Thereby you decipher the height of it. Right? Values and its application, like how we have seen with the height differential, the boiling point changes, the height differential, the values application also takes different modes, but it doesn't mean that the value has changed. Value is that base point from where you refer to the rest of the things. Similarly, in a human interaction with the outside world, world of things, world of beings, world of environments, world of situations that we go through, what should be that compass that is there which guides each individual to be safely on the right side, the correct side? I give this example often, that when you go out and take to the main road, you have to be extra alert and extra cautious. Why? To come into this road, it is like this. You have to go all the way around, go under the bridge and then come back and get into this. So many people, what do? Though it is, the value of the direction there is one way, but why should you be alert? Anybody that wants to use it in any which direction, they will end up using it. Suddenly they will appear. When the value changes, it has quite a significant impact on not just the individual who has changed it, on those who are still following that value will also have that impact of somebody misusing that value. Is so much clear? Therefore, our ancestors, our rishis, they envisioned. They called all of these values bunched together as Daivi Sampatti, divine qualities, divine assets. And those that are breaking it or irregularly other than it, they called it as Asuri Sampatti. Asuri Sampatti, Asura Sampatti. And we can very easily see in an environment where I want to gel well with. Supposing I have moved from a different place, I am trying to settle into a new place. What kind of people do I want to interact with? Do I not focus on it? It is not that randomly anybody that comes and greets and I start, befriending them. What am I trying to evaluate based on? It's not that I am trying to judge them, but it is that if they are in accordance to my value system, then I want to tune in with them. If it is not, it happens. That is how life is. You know that that particular person and that family, that the elders there, that value system is not matching with yours, but your children are playing with their children. Okay, na gadbad? Children don't understand it. Now, what is wrong? You want to tell them very clearly everything is wrong. But how do you say it? So that which guides us to manage our interaction with the world outside, that standard, that constant is called value. But most of us, psychologically, we are predisposed for it. Most of us, what do we do with these values? We expect the outside world of beings to hold and live up to that value. But whenever I am not able to live up to that value, you want them to be compassionate enough to understand and excuse me, pardon me. Isn't that how we mostly live? Therefore, understanding the values and valuing the values becomes quite an important task. If the value is not valued in my own personal standpoint, they are already devalued. Their effectiveness is already lost. With children, we observe, they may not exactly do what we tell them to do, but they exactly do and behave as how we do and behave. Once in a Balavihar camp, it was a new environment for me. There were about 100 odd kids, just like me. There was one kid, when I asked a question, he gave a very particular answer with a particular attitude. I observed it, called that fellow after my, talking to them. I said, is this person your father? So that girl was like, how do you know? So somebody who was next to me, बड़ा चढ़ा के, Swami ji ये सब जानते हैं. The kid even more got scared. So I said, you will not like if I give you the reason. I said, no, I want to know. He said, your father, his attitude and his answer is exactly the way how you have presented it when I asked the question. And immediately, what is the child's reaction? I am nothing like my father. There is a certain age where the children, if you tell them that you are looking exactly, doing exactly like your parents, they would not like it. They would feel embarrassed about it. And this girl was also quite embarrassed. And she said, no, nothing like that. They may not do exactly as we say, but they exactly do how we live and how we speak. What is happening here? Yad acharati sreshtaha tattadeva itara janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokaha tad anuvartate. समझ में आया? Swami ji, this is Greek and Latin. No, this is not Greek and Latin, this is Sanskritam. And what I just said was the Bhagavad Gita shloka. Yad acharati sreshtaha. For everybody, there is somebody that they think they are very ideal as they are living. We all look up to someone. Do you remember your school days? Everybody should remember, they are the best of the days, right? Everybody should have at least one particular teacher who was our favorite. है कोई वैसे? If you look into the details, that particular teacher, that particular subject that the particular teacher would teach has had such a profound impact on our lives. So much so that we have also taken to that particular field. Our life, our work, our job is defined by that particular impact of that one teacher in our life. Do you recognize it? How many of you feel that a particular teacher had that kind of an impact to mold and guide your life to way that you are here today, right now? Can you raise your hands? Almost about 50% of you. Maybe another 10% are feeling hesitant to raise their hands. Usually 60-70% wherever I have asked this question, they say yes, undoubtedly there has been that one teacher. So at every age we have somebody that we find as an ideal. So you ask an elementary school child, what do you want to become? So he would say, postman. Why? He has a vehicle, he has this, he has certain authority. Or bus conductor. So I asked that kid, why bus conductor? Because I wanted to know if another Rajnikant was in the make. So I asked, why bus conductor? So the kid says, he has such power. One whistle, the bus stops. Two whistles, bus starts. Something that has inspired them to see that that fellow has power, therefore is an ideal. Some influence on them. And in today's world, wherein we have so many different kinds of influencers, that it has become a profession unto itself. 5 years ago, we would not have imagined that influencers is a profession. Now it has become a profession. We have so many models becoming influencers. Very few that become role models. Sreshtaha, that role model. Yad yad acharati sreshtaha, that role model, whatever they do. Tad tad eva itara janaha. Similarly, it is being copied and repeated by those that they think that they are their role model. Whatever is their role model doing, that is what they end up doing. Yad yada charati sreshtaha tad tad eva itara janaha. Sayat pramanam kurute, whatever they have left as the proof of standard, pramanam. Sayat pramanam kurute, lokaha tad anuvartate. The people follow it implicitly. They will not even challenge, they will not even ask why. When I started wearing pants for the first time, at least when I was growing up until 9th class, there was no pants, there were only shorts. School everywhere, that was the whole. That was the time when the bell-bottom pants were going off the market and the narrow pants, narrow leg pants. Then within 3 years that model also changed. It became baggy pant. Do you remember this? Then parallel pants. Why did it change so rapidly? Some actor, some actress somewhere must have changed their costume in some movie. In the market when you go, the chudidars are sold based on the movie character. It is called by that very name. Yadyad acharati shreshtaha tattadeva folloyanti janaha. Right? We don't even ask questions. We just want to blend with the new trend. Don't we say? Idi ippudu trend. A paatakalam maku nachadu. I have to be trendy. Why? Everybody who has copied the Shrestha in your child's life, whether they may be able to say it or not, whether they may like to say it and acknowledge it or not, do you know who is their role model? You, the parents. If in the family the husband and wife, Srimati and Sripati, Srimati is the wife, Sripati is the husband. So between Srimati and Sripati, if there is a cordial relationship where the husband respects the wife respects the husband, there is a mutually amicable, beautiful environment, the child grows up respecting the other gender. If there is a constant criticism, if there is a constant annoyance, if there is a constant cribbing, what will the child grow up learning? That is the standard. Why is the father like that? Because the father also has molded the way that they have responded based on what was set as a standard by their earliers. Then how to correct this? Therefore, there is a standard of life itself, and that standard of life is called values. It is not based on each one of our conveniences. Sometimes it is so ironical. Very recently, a mother came with her son, 9th grader. Swami ji, ये बहुत ही भोला भाला है. He doesn't know the ways of life. He gets so easily fooled, so easily carried away, so easily manipulated. I have brought him to you, you teach him. What do you expect me to teach? That which is not the standard, that which is a convenient way to get through all of these and not get fooled. मतलब चालाकी के नाम पे, smartness के नाम पे, you want to transform that child into a crooked way of life. When the standard is not understood, you want to make it as conveniently feasible to be participative and get through life in making and squeezing the best out. We are not setting the right standard. Therefore, valuing the values, not just respecting them, but to transform these values into virtues becomes that much more important, because it just doesn't impact my life, it impacts their lives. Gurudev used to say, how do I handle my children? They are becoming so indisciplined. Who has to change? Where should the change begin? The change should begin from the source. Where are they copying that indisciplined pattern? So in their mind, in their child's mind, their understanding becomes, as long as I am a child, I am being taken care of, I have to follow this. The moment I become an adult, what is my standard? I can live just like how my parents have lived. So we are setting a wrong standard. Values are that which do not change, whether it is here or America or Europe or Australia. They remain same. They are universally respected and worshipped. Ethics and morals can change. Values don't change. If you ever have gone to or seen a Western wedding, I am not even calling it a Christian wedding, a Western wedding, because they themselves may not believe in Christianity, but they have a certain ethical code of conduct in marriages. After the vows are exchanged, they said, now you may kiss the bride. Morally accepted, ethically to be done. If that is not happening, then those who are attending the marriage, kuch to gadbad hai. Something is wrong. They are already having differences even before the marriage. That is what it will be interpreted as. Now the same thing were to happen in the Shadi Mandap. जो कन्यादान कर रहे हैं, जो कन्यादान करवा रहे हैं, दोनों लाठी बरसाएंगे. Ethics and morals can change based on the geographical disposition, based on the various conditionings. Values don't change. Therefore, what is the very core of our life and living? It has to become a value-based life and living. Devoid from it, we can gain only sets of various disturbing, restless experiences. We will not find peace in our own mind. Constantly agitated, cannot sleep properly, cannot digest properly, psychosomatic influences, psychological issues having physical ramifications. Blood pressure shoots up, sugar level goes up. Why does that happen? Because there is no alignment with this value system. This lifestyle geared towards living a value-based life in our Shastra is called living dharmic life. Therefore, a beggar that comes to our house, there are several colonies, several beggars have divided the streets. Ye mera gully hai. So there is a regular fellow that comes to your gully. In Telugu, when they say, they are also multilingual. Looking at the face, looking at the person, looking at the display board, they know what to ask and how to invoke that from you. In Telugu, what they say? Beggar. Dharmam cheyandi babu. He is trying to tell us to live to the standard of dharma, and giving charity, giving alms is dharma. Therefore, do your dharma. You have heard it, right? Quite regularly. Dharma cheyandi babu. What do they mean? Even a beggar knows living the dharmic life is the right method. So, yadyadacharati sreshtaha tattadeva itara janaha sayat pramanam. Pramanam meaning the proof of standard. The proof of standard we may not have invoked even when our parents were insisting on it. But somehow there is a innate necessity that a parent finds as soon as that same individual becomes a parent. Now many people take their child and get the Upanayana Samskar. As soon as the Upanayana Samskar is done, Now the father comes and says, 1 month, 2 months before, स्वामी जी ये उपनयन के बाद करते क्या है मेरे को बताओ. Said why? I am getting it done for my child. I know I have to do something, but I have lost touch with it. I have not done it in last 20 years. You kindly reteach it to me, or find me somebody that can teach it to me, so that when my child is given that initiation, I know how to guide. And the child will definitely ask, "Aap to nahi karte?" Isn't that the child immediately asks? If you ask them to do something and they don't find you doing it, they will immediately question you. You yourself don't do it, why are you asking me to do it? Right? So, for the standard to be set so that the next generation also, of our own children, benefit out of it, such environments where this is taught will be only like a supplement, but not the main course. Where does the main course come from? It comes from the family. It comes from the tradition of that family. It comes from the value of that tradition which is being maintained by that family. Satya, ahimsa, akrodha, asteya. To not steal, asteya. To not get agitated and angry. To be loving, to be compassionate, to be empathetic. To follow a certain discipline in life. To maintain a sattvic attitude of life and lifestyle. All of these are the values that are taught in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There are 20 values. These are very essential. Now, unless we understand, we imbibe, transform it into virtues, do you think our child will be inspired to follow it? Once you start doing it, you don't even need to tell the child to do. The child has already picked. So Gurudev used to very beautifully say, values are not taught, they are caught in your action by the child. So therefore, valuing the values, not just to respect it and feel amazed by it in others, but to transform the value into a virtue, alone should be the standard of life and lifestyle. Before I stop, if you are wondering, we need more insights into these values to understand so that we can apply it better. Every month, 1 week in the evening, we have Bhagavad Gita lectures which delves purely on this value system of life that has to be understood and applied. So please join them. It cannot be a 1-hour course that I can hand it down to you in a spoon. It is a churning process through these 18 chapters. I have already done the first chapter. Coming May, we will have the second chapter beginning, which is the crucial part. It starts from there. So please come to those. It starts from the May 7th, May 11th to 18th is the Bhagavad Gita in the evening, 6:30 to 8. It is being offered at your doorstep free of cost. You just have to carve some time and make it a regular habit so that we can talk about it with a further infused understanding. Now I stop. If you have any questions within the syllabus, of what I have spoken, which may have created confusion, please do stand up and ask so that I can get an opportunity to clarify. Yes, sir. anticipating this question, I had already said it is a elaborate thing to be discussed. Attend the Gita classes. So that is the first solution. Second solution is our own value system sometimes needs a very crucial corrections in it. We say in the Shastra it very clearly states Satyam ma bruyat. Satyameva jayate nanrutam. Shastra says these things very clearly. But then in our Vyavahara we say white lie is okay. Lying is lying. It will come back to bite you in the most inopportune time and it will give you a pain. But then we have changed the standards to our complacent way of lifestyle. So meditation is not the solution here. It is to understand this value system, re-evaluate ourselves and rehaul the entire system to that higher standard. Many of us have difficulty understanding Rama, Krishna as Avatara because we try to evaluate them from our dilapidated value system and think that they did not live a value-based life. Because we see one aspect or one angle of it, we are not seeing the entirety of it. So increasing that understanding is what changes my conviction. Unless my conviction changes, my action will not change. Therefore, the conviction has to be changed and it is an education process. It is not a short-term course. It is not a overnight study and tomorrow spit it out in the exam kind of a situation. It is a complete remodeling of my thinking. But we have to be sincere at it to change. It will take time. But it has to be done because it definitely impacts the next generation. And not just that they take the verse from the mother, verse from the father, they amplify it at least 50% more. Therefore we end up saying, हम इतने बुरे तो नहीं थे, बुरे थे, पर इतने बुरे नहीं थे, because they are amplifying whatever we have given to them. So if we have to guide and re-channelize it, the change must happen from within. The education has to happen for that mind which has a wrong standard. And there is no shortcut to it. It should have been done in the home, it should have been done in the school, but both of it did not focus on it. It is like somebody given a vehicle who doesn't know how to drive and let loose on the traffic. That is how our minds are right now. They are not being trained. So that is a training process, education process. Therefore, this is just a visiting card for the greater education which will be offered on a every month basis. तो कृपया आइएगा. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
First of all, I am a confused, stressed, working parent. So, with the kind of bad attitudes in the society, how much ever values we imbibe in the child, there is some sort of insecurity lying behind it. What if the moment is tempting to the child that disturbs him, or if the child goes in a wrong way, which I could not see, or starts hiding, how to come out of that insecurity, or make the child understand to make a good decision between good and bad, what is taught at home, what you should not be absorbing outside.
Though we try to imbibe good qualities into the child is influenced or exposed to all the world of things where they may not be of the same standard. How do I remove the fear or anxiety that is born in me that they may be sidetracked? How do I get out of it? First of all, let me say that all fears are not bad fears. If there was no fear of the exam and the consequences of it, even before the evening where we prepared, we would not have prepared. तो डर अच्छी चीज है, डरो. If you don't become that anxious and care for, it is born out of the care for the child, care for the next generation. If that fear is not there, the sincerity will not be born. So fear is not bad. See, when Hanumanji goes to Lanka, in Telugu they say, Chuchi Rammaninacho, Kalchi Vachina. He was asked to see and come. What did he do? Lanka jala ke aa gaya. Now when he came back to Bhagavan Rama, he was scared. Hanumanji, who is considered as the most fearless one, he was scared to stand in front of Bhagavan. Why was he scared? ये क्या हनुमान, क्या करने भेजा था, तू क्या करके आया? If Bhagavan picks on that and says, who asked you to burn? He was scared that Bhagavan may not be giving his blessings on that aspect of it. So Tulsidas ji there says, with dar, bhakti comes, sincerity comes. Even now when I do certain things, my first thought is, what would Gurudev say? What would my Guru say? When I do something, is it something to their standard or not? If it deviates, they may not approve of it. Therefore, that fear keeps me on track of dharma. So you ask how to get out of that insecurity and fear. I would pray you don't get out of that fear and insecurity ever. Because that is what keeps that sincerity towards the child and their welfare. So it's not a bad thing. But just having that anxiety is not sufficient. Knowing very well that the outside world and that influence can take them off the track, I have to strengthen them much more than that, that in spite of those influences, they can still stand firm. Parenting is not about protecting them. Parenting is about ensuring that even though they may fall, we cannot protect them from the fall. Even though they may slip, we cannot protect them from a slip. They may fail, we cannot protect them from a fail. But definitely teach them how to gather themselves up after a fail, after a slip, after a fall. And then retry it with the same vigor and enthusiasm again in that direction. That is lacking these days. Because we become overprotective, not allow them to go through that process of learning through their failures. Therefore, that fear you said is a good thing, wherein you teach them with such emphasis, live and lead by example with such emphasis, that in their lives, even in spite of these influences, they can track their path to dharma, as long as, I'll tell one more point here, as long as they are living under your roof, they will take you for granted. You will ask them to clean the room, put the things in proper place. They will not do it because they have taken you for granted. Because they know if they don't do it, mummy kar legi, amma kar legi. ठीक है, whatever be their reactions, they know that they can take you for granted because you are their safety net. If not from you, if not with you, who else will they take it for granted? Hope not a wrong influence outside. Don't get irritated, they are not changing today. They will not, because their responsibility roots have not yet taken shape. When will it take shape? When they step out into the world where they have to face their responsibilities and their earning, their livelihood. That is when the responsibility sets in. For that day to happen safely, you have to nag them throughout their childhood, knowing very well that they will not listen to you. Don't get frustrated that they will not do it, therefore I am now giving up. When the factory produces a car or something, the factory says it is not produced properly, there is a recall. The entire batch is recalled. बच्चों के साथ recall नहीं होता. So don't stop your ways of trying to teach them. Be on it. Know that they will find the right route and right way of life only after they step out of your house, not while they are still in. For that to happen efficiently, this has not to be stopped. कभी कभी गुस्सा, कभी कभी भद्रकाली रूप. All of this, it's like a bhelpuri, mixture of all of these. You have to provide that constant nurturing. They may say you are nagging, they may say that you are intruding, they may say all these, challenge you with a question. They think they are very intelligent with one single word. They can outbeat you with that one single word. And as you said, the one word is why. Beta ye karo, why? Ye mat karo, why not? They think they have got two wings, why and why not? They can fly away with those two wings with anything that you throw at them. Have we not been like that? उतने बुरे नहीं थे स्वामी जी, वही तो कह रहा हूँ. They are amplified version of us. They cannot be any different. But don't give up on them. If you give up, who else will care? Until they become a responsible individual, make their own living, until then, keep on it. Don't give up. And that fear that you talk, that unsettling restlessness that you thought, what will happen? That is what will guide you to find newer methods to reach out to them so that they stay on track. डर अच्छी चीज है. I think I'll stop it here. That will be the last one. India produces ambassador cars. Proof. तालियां ही देने थे तो इतनी डिलेड रिएक्शन क्यों? ठीक है. So if I can sum up, whatever we try to give to our children, it seems boring. Whatever the outside influences, it seems glamorous. How do we tackle this with our children? Your question itself has a solution. Make it glamorous. What is stopping you? आपके तो बच्चे हैं. आप नहीं न्यू मेथड्स इन्वेंट करोगे तो और कौन इन्वेंट करेगा? Make it a challenge for yourself that whatever my approach is today, it cannot be monotonous. Why do they feel boring? Because it is monotonous. Invent yourself to find the newer logic, newer depth, newer understanding, and be one step ahead of them. That is what is the glamour. That which the child has not seen, that which the child has not visualized, that which the child is not introduced to. When they get introduced to it, they see it as being glamorous. You are more experienced, you are more educated, you are more wise. Why can't you make it appearing new? What they seek is that newness. Can't you give that new? That teacher which I said which you liked in your classrooms was that person that first of all treated you as an individual in their classroom. Second, they brought the same old stuff with a newness, and that newness is what caught your attention. For our child's sake, can't we bring something new in our logic, in our depth? Matlab, we also have to change our methods, right? We'll stop here.